How's everyone doing? Today I have a Blu-ray and DVD update. Nice big stack right here. If you've seen any of these movies, definitely let me know what you think of them. And first up is the only Blu-ray of the bunch, Blue Like Jazz. Now this is a Christian faith film, and I wasn't sure what to expect because I've seen some of these Christian faith films before. The acting's really bad, and they get this message through. It's very overt, and this one is actually one of the best ones I've ever seen personally. Now a lot of these ones are very manipulative. This one isn't that manipulative. It is a little bit towards the end, but overall it's actually a really decent movie that I would recommend checking out for mainstream audiences as well, not just people into Christian faith. And here's the back right here. It's basically about this young guy right there. He's going off to college, and he's from this Texas town that's really religious, and he decides to go to Washington State, to this college that's really progressive, and basically he goes there and he sees that nobody's really into religion, and they get ostracized if they're religious, so he decides to break away. And he really wanted to get away from that religious aspect as well, because right when he left, he found something out that really changed his whole feelings towards religion and just kind of made him feel like it wasn't really true and everything was fake, and things like that. So he's going there just having a wild time. He's partying, he's making out with girls and things like that, and doing things he never would have done before. He's drinking, and he's doing drugs and all kinds of craziness. But by the end of the movie, he comes full circle and he finds his faith again. I don't think that's a spoiler. You kind of know what to expect with this kind of movie. But along the way, he meets different people. It's just about his interactions. It's a great character-driven drama, and I actually really enjoyed this one. The way it ended could have been a little bit better. I wanted a little bit different ending, but besides that, the rest of the film, definitely a worthwhile watch. And there you go, Blue Like Jazz. There's the disc right there. And this is from Lionsgate Home Entertainment, and a bunch of special features on here as well. That's another part of the film that I liked a lot too. The father's jazz records. Really enjoyed that as well. And I like how he changes his opinion on the jazz records and how they become a part of him, and he realizes what's really important in life. And like I said, if you're into Christian faith films, this is definitely one I would highly recommend. And even if you're not, I think mainstream audiences can really appreciate this one. But one thing I do want to say, there's trailers for other faith films in here, and one of them was so manipulative and just pissed me off. So the trailer for it is about this lady who basically left her husband and their newborn son, and for years they didn't know where she was. I think it was like 7 years past, and all of a sudden they find out that she's at this church like right down the street, and one of the pastors there said, "You'll never be man enough for her because you don't have God in your life," and this and that. I just felt that was so manipulative. I think it's just a great example of how people abuse religion. But that one is one I haven't seen. I just saw the trailer for that. It was just really that's going to be how you promote this film, with something just negative like that. And that's just not tolerant right there. That's against everything that religion should stand for, in my opinion. But this one right here, completely different movie and very enjoyable, one I would definitely recommend. And next up from New Video, and this is a Tribeca film release as well, The High Cost of Living, starring Zach Braff and Isabella Blatz. And of course, Zach Braff is from Scrubs, Garden State, and Last Kiss, which is a movie I really enjoy, and I never hear anybody really talk about Last Kiss. Kind of a great relationship drama movie that I enjoyed. And of course, he's from New Jersey, got to represent Garden State, and Garden State, one of my all-time favorite movies, and Scrubs, love that show. And again, he did a great job in this one, just a kind of a darker role. And the film is shot in Montreal and Quebec, Canada, and it's basically about Zach Braff. He's a drug dealer. His path crosses with a pregnant lady, and basically from there, both their lives change forever, and they get to know each other more, and they become really good, close friends. And basically from there, things happen and things are revealed, and basically, like I said, their lives will never be the same again. This is basically a very sad and touching movie. Definitely some poignant parts in here. It's basically about the life decisions you make and how one moment can change your life forever. Really good movie, though. I highly recommend this one. Very nice slipcover as well. Great character-driven drama, kind of darker toned, and again, definitely a very moving film. And next up from MPI Media Group is Last Days Here, and this blew me away. This is a documentary about the lead singer of Pentagram, kind of this 70s, 80s rock band right here, and just shows his life now. His name is Bobby Liebling, and just goes over the past 36 years of his life and how he never made it big, and he could have. His music was really great, and just kind of follows him around. He's living at his parents' home. I think he's in his 50s or 60s at this point. He's got wiry white hair, and basically he's addicted to drugs. And there was one scene that just completely caught me off guard and grossed me out. I guess this happens with crack addicts or heroin addicts, where they become really paranoid and think bugs are crawling on them, so they pick at their skin. And there's a scene where he has this huge open wound on his arm, and they show it, and they show him picking at it. Oh, totally just gave me the willies and creeped me out. Wasn't expecting that at all. But so he's basically, a drug addict, and he's living in his parents' basement, and he's an old man essentially. I think he's at least in his 50s, and It's just really sad and touching, but he kind of has it's kind of a tale of redemption as well. He kind of gets back on his feet. He has some people that are helping him that are just big fans of the music and want to see him do well, and they try to get the band back together. And basically, he's been the problem the whole time. He always has fights with the bands, or doesn't show up, or he's on drugs and he's drunk and things like that. And basically just just shows some of the stuff from his past, and kind of shows some of the music as well. I wish they would have shown more of the music, because the music actually was really enjoyable that they played, and I would have liked a little bit more from that. But they show him playing in concerts and stuff like that. And I thought the ending was a little surprising, because that there's a girl that he meets and she's just so much younger, and it's a very touching film. It's very sad, but like I said, it's a tale of redemption as well. And I definitely think this is an excellent documentary. If you're into documentaries about rock stars or things like that, just really deeply personal and emotional as well. Very moving. The Last Days Are Here. Excellent rock documentary. Really a tragic tale of how certain decisions can affect your life. Drugs and drinking and just all out partying and just not doing the right things you need to do. But you can always come back from it and redeem yourself. And next up from A&E Home Entertainment is Baseball's Greatest Games, New York Mets' first no-hitter, and from Johan Santana. This is basically just goes over the whole game from inning 1 to the very end, and does an interview at the end and at the game, and he gets the shaving cream pie in the face, and it's actually really cool. In 51 years, he's had the only no-hitter. Tom Seaver had 3 no-hitters into the 9th inning, but each time it got broken up. So it's the first no-hitter in Mets history, and it's against one of the best offenses in the league from the St. Louis Cardinals, who have never been no-hit, I believe. And so this was actually really cool. I watched the whole thing, and I'm not a Mets fan, but I am a huge baseball fan. I'm a fan of the Cubs and the Yankees. I can kind of get away with that, 2 different divisions, but I follow both those teams. Even if you're not a fan of the Mets, if you're a fan of baseball, I think you can really appreciate this, because it's a part of history. It's a part of Major League Baseball history, and definitely just a great release, a simple release. It's just a game, and just goes over, the options are you can go through different innings if you want to skip ahead to an inning, but at the end you have him being interviewed at the ballpark and stuff like that. It just shows everybody, his team, just jumping around him and rallying around him and stuff like that. Like I said, it's a part of Major League Baseball history. So if you're a fan of baseball, this is definitely something you should check out. And next up from Inception Home Media and the Smithsonian Channel is Martin Luther King, the Assassination Tapes. This is actually really interesting. If you're into history, this is definitely something I think you should check out. My really only criticism about this was it's very short. It's only 46 minutes long. It's basically just going over Martin Luther King coming to Tennessee and, rallying around the civil rights movement. And he goes there, a little bit before that to join a rally that becomes violent. Things get out of hand, and, that's not what he was about at all. And so he comes back, he tries to, settle things down, but instead he gets shot at a hotel. Basically, all the cops are trying to find the shooter in Memphis, Tennessee. And there's some interviews and news reports that were only shown around that area, so it's one of the few times that this is ever seen, like, globally. And there's actually a phone call to the president at one point as well, because he's dealing with this kind of racial outcry because of it, because, the guy that shot him was white. There's civil rights rallies going all over the place, and there's rallies in Washington, D.C., and the president doesn't know what to do. They're still trying to find the shooter, and they do find the shooter. It's basically very straightforward how Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. comes to Memphis, Tennessee to kind of help the unions and things like that. I believe it was the Garbage Men Union, and they just weren't getting paid enough. They were treated really poorly, and somebody died, and they needed better equipment and stuff so more people won't die. Very simple things. And he was, he was very peaceful, and he, unfortunately, he was shot down because of his movement, because of his beliefs, as were other civil rights movement leaders. And from there, it just talks about his assassination, people trying to find the shooter, how the cops kind of dropped the ball, how they couldn't find the guy, and which was really surprising, given that whole area where Martin Luther King Jr. was surrounded by police officers, and it took a while to find them. So if you're into history, it's definitely something you should check out. And next up from the History Channel is IRT Deadliest Road Season 2, The Andes. Wow, this was crazy. I was not expecting to be this dramatic. Basically, it's about these group of guys right here and a lady, and they're driving on these crazy different roads to get different supplies to these places that are just really remote. And one of the places right here, one of the first parts is, I think, episode 1 and 2, and they're going over this place. I think it's called like the Death Road or something like that. Oh yeah, the Death Road. And wow, they were actually showing how close they were to the edge, and all these different graves and how many people die each year. I think they said something like 40-something people die on this road every year. And I'm like, why don't they fix this road? Why didn't they put up some guard railings? It's very small. It's kind of winding around a mountain, and it's like a deep incline, like several hundred feet, maybe 1,000 feet. I'm not sure how far it went down, but maybe it was probably like 1,000 feet or something. But You can kind of see it right there. You can see one of the crosses right there. And I'm just thinking, put a guardrail up, or don't even take that road. I mean, fly some helicopters in. You know, it might take a couple trips to get the supplies in, but it's safer. Probably more cost efficient to do the trucks and stuff. But there's people's lives at stake here, and like a couple of people actually quit, and I don't blame them for quitting. I mean, this was just crazy. You're risking your life for this stuff. I mean, you probably get paid well for it. I'm not sure how much they get paid. And the IRT actually stands for Ice Road Truckers. It's kind of a spin-off because there's some of the same people in it as well. And this was just, wow, really surprised by how emotionally moving this was. I was invested in this. I can't even get into how much I was like freaked out by this, watching how deep that incline was. I could never do what they were doing. I would just crap my pants. It was just really moving. And it's basically just all about them just driving around all these different crazy locations and things that are basically, you could put your life at risk for driving on these roads. And, you know, it says grab your wheel and pray. That's a great tagline for this. This is season 2, The Andes, Deadliest Roads. It's a 4-disc set right here from the History Channel. Go ahead and just open it up and show you. Right there. And there's the last disc. I was really surprised by this. I really enjoyed this. And if you're a fan of Ice Road Trucker or things like that, I would definitely recommend checking this out. Very tense and palpable. I was really surprised by this one. I don't know how they do it. Kudos to them for doing it. They're putting their life at risk. I wouldn't be able to do it. Like I said, I'd crap my pants just looking out over the edge doing it. There's no way I could do that. So big props to them. Very palpable, lots of drama in here. Very enjoyable show. And next up from A&E is Storage Wars Volume 3. Now, I had never seen this before, but this is actually pretty enjoyable. It's more down to earth and more average than some of the other shows like Pawn Stars and all the different pawn shows and things like that. But if you enjoy those type of shows where they're just looking for treasure and American Pickers and all the different pawn TV shows that they have, I think you'll enjoy Storage Wars. It's basically they're going to different storage containers, and for people who haven't paid, they auction off the storage units, and basically they can't go in there and look at every single thing. They just open up the door and that's it. You can just look from what you can see right there, and everybody bids on it, and whoever wins the bid ends up getting everything in the lot. It's a 2-disc set right here. There you go. Right there, some interesting characters in there. The couple right there are actually my favorite right there. Their interaction together really works well. You know, they'll argue over, oh, you shouldn't have bid this much for it. Oh, this was great. Like when she bid on these RVs, which turned out to be a really good buy. I just thought that was really entertaining as well. But definitely some great characters in there. I think the characters themselves really bring a lot to this show and how they work well with each other. Like there's the father and son team right there. And this guy's kind of really obnoxious, but he adds a lot of entertainment to it as well. But like I said, if you're into like the Pawn Star shows or American Pickers or things like that, I think you'll enjoy this one as well. This one's a little bit more down to earth in my opinion, where I feel like just any kind of average person can go and do this, but they definitely have a little bit more history into it as well. Like they have shops and stuff like that, but it's actually really interesting where they can go to these different storage units that are up for auction and just how they're bidding against one another, and they're just different, they're little battles back and forth. Very entertaining. So that's Storage Wars Volume 3 from A&E Home Entertainment, 2-disc set. And next up from Lionsgate is The Newest Pledge. Now, I was actually surprised by this because this was decently entertaining. The acting was actually really decent, which surprised me because these kind of movies, the acting is kind of subpar. But you have Jason Mewes in there as a professor. You have Kevin Nash, who's really only in there for like 2 minutes. And then you have Andy Milonakis, who's only in there for a few minutes as well. He had the Caligula shirt on there, which was entertaining. He should have had a dolphin shirt. He talked a lot about dolphins. He's kind of a weird and quirky character. And there's the lead actor right there. He's pledging a fraternity, and one day the doorbell rings and there's a baby on there on the steps, and it says, "You're the father," and they're trying to figure out of all the different fraternity members who's the actual father of this baby. And then there's the villainous character who actually was hilarious. The villain in here, he's part of a rival fraternity there's only like a couple members of, but he was just so over the top, and his performance really worked well. Very stereotypical kind of dorky character, but he just really worked well how over the top he was, and just very a memorable character, honestly. And there's another one of the guys that was in the rival fraternity. He was kind of the dorky guy, and he looks like the red-haired guy from Revenge of the Nerds. He looks like he could be his son. I actually had to like Google it to make sure they weren't related. That's how much they looked alike. This was actually much better than I thought it would be. It's very stereotypical, low budget, kind of some toilet humor in there. In the very first scene, you see a guy come in, and he's basically introduces him, the father and stuff like that. And it's the fraternity guy. He's naked, and so you see the back shot. Who is like he's got like a tattoo or something on his butt. So this is kind of entertaining. Very stereotypical Jersey Shore kind of guy, which all those people from Jersey Shore. They're not from New Jersey, by the way. They're all from Staten Island and New York, and the one guy's from like Rhode Island. But anyways, I digress. But it's a stereotypical kind of fraternity guys, but there are some good guys in there as well. Not just all about the partying, but this was basically just all about trying to figure out who's the father of the baby, and then the rival fraternity guys basically trying to bring down the Omega chapter, and because they've had this reign on the fraternity board for all of these generations essentially, and there's a guy on there, Stake something, I can't remember what the guy's name was, but he's kind of like this legend, and he comes back, he's like, Stake out, which is really entertaining, but this is a fun movie. It's one of those ones you could just put on and have some beers with your friends, but you kind of know what you're getting into with a movie like this, The Newest Pledge. So it's basically all about the rival fraternity trying to bring down the Omega House, and the Omega House is trying to figure out who the baby belongs to, who's the father, and there's a love interest with the lead character and a girl, and all kinds of things like that, just trying to go through school and pledge the fraternity and get through the classes and things like that, and there's some party scenes as well, which actually the party scenes, I really liked how it just kind of flowed. The party scenes kind of just went by the different rooms and things like that. Very nice. Some very cool shots like that. Definitely felt authentic. And next up from Film Chest is The Federal Men. This is a 3-disc collector's set starring Walter Grieza. Includes 16 episodes from the 1950s crime drama. Now, basically, this is based on real-life Treasury criminal cases, and there's a bunch of different appearances from well-known actors of that time as well. And I'll just go ahead and show you the back. It's basically crime drama based on real events and things like that. And it's a very interesting swing tray inside as well. Never seen that kind of a different color, the white colored swing tray. There's disc 2, and then there's disc 3. Interesting. But it basically goes over loan sharks, gamblers, bootleggers, swindlers, smugglers, different kinds of things like that, different criminals and how they're trying to catch them. Very interesting. It's just kind of has that classic feel to it, which I enjoyed. I like classic Hollywood cinema, and this is definitely a good representation. Federal Men, if you enjoy classic crime dramas, I think you'll enjoy this one, especially since they're based on some real-life cases as well. And next up from Millennium Home Entertainment is The Liquidator, starring Vinnie Jones, which he's present right there. He's got the main name, but he's only in it for a real short time, honestly. He actually doesn't speak a single word in this movie, which is kind of similar in Midnight Meat Train. I think he only said one word in that one as well. So, he doesn't say a lot. It's not very dialogue heavy, but great action star. I really enjoy him as an actor. Would like to see him in there a little bit more. But the lead character who played Arson Azatenov Barrick, I believe his name is, he actually did a really good job. I think he should be an action star. I think he did excellent in this role. It's basically about him avenging his brother's death. His brother was like a news reporter, and he uncovers this corruption scandal, and basically from there his brother gets killed, and he's trying to figure out who killed them. He's trying to find them, and the corruption goes all the way up, and he's basically just killing them one by one, and basically Vinnie Jones' character is hired to stop him. It's actually really entertaining. I really enjoyed this one. It's some good action. I would have liked to see Vinnie Jones in there a little bit more, to have them more of a showdown, really, but their showdown was pretty epic. This is a nice slip cover as well. Go ahead and show you the inside. Right there, Vinnie Jones is the only one on the disc art, which I think is funny. Vinnie Jones is everywhere on this for their promotion. I think he's even on the spine right there, just Vinnie Jones. Like I said, he's not in there for that long. He probably, screen time wise, probably about 10 minutes of the whole movie. This guy should have, I thought he did a great job. Maybe he's not as well known, but he deserves way more credit. He did an awesome job as Arson, the lead character, and he should have been present everywhere instead of Vinnie Jones. I know Vinnie Jones will sell money because he's more well known, but very good action star and a decent action movie right here, basically about corruption. The movie is in Russian. Now, when you first put the movie in, it's dubbed, English dubbed, and I'm like, this seems weird. Like, I didn't know it was actually in Russian at first when I put it in. So it starts out English dubbing, and I don't like that at all. You can tell it's like Godzilla's attacking the city. So I'm not a fan of that, so I had to put it on Russian actual language, the language that it was shot in, with English subtitles. And so that was better that way for me personally. Now, some of the subtitles weren't perfect, though. You can tell that they weren't translated 100%. I don't know if some of the stuff that was said doesn't translate perfectly to English, but you get the gist of the idea. And I thought this was an entertaining action movie right here, The Liquidator. And I definitely want to see more from that lead actor right there, Azatov Barrick. Very good actor and action star. Hope to see more from him in the future. An enjoyable action film. So there you go. There's my Blu-ray and DVD update. If you've seen any of these films, definitely let me know what you think of them. Leave me a comment or a video response down below. Hope everyone's doing well. Take care.